Nobody inside that arena was prepared for what happened next, because for a moment, it didn't feel like a basketball game anymore. It felt like a warning shot fired across the entire WNBA. Caitlin Clark didn't just walk onto that court. She stormed into it like a player, carrying every insult, every headline, every whisper that said the hype was fading. The critics had been loud. Too loud. Social media had spent days questioning whether she was overrated, whether the league had figured her out, whether the pressure was finally crushing the golden girl of women's basketball. And then, Angel Reese was watching. What happened over the next few minutes sent shockwaves through fans, commentators, and even players who thought they understood where this rivalry stood. Because this wasn't just about points. This was about dominance. This was about a statement. Every drive felt personal. Every assist looked surgical. Every possession felt like Caitlin was answering a question the basketball world had been screaming at her. And the terrifying part? She wasn't even fully unlocked. While defenses collapsed, while critics went silent, and while fans exploded online, one brutal question started spreading everywhere. If this is Caitlin Clark without her best weapon, what happens when she gets it back? Because if tonight proved anything, the gap may be bigger than anyone wants to admit. For weeks, the noise around Caitlin Clark had been impossible to escape. Every sports show, every podcast, every social media debate seemed to ask the same brutal question. Was the phenomenon already slowing down? The same player who entered professional basketball carrying historic expectations suddenly found herself under a microscope so intense that even a single cold shooting night became national conversation. Every missed three was clipped, reposted, dissected, and mocked. For some fans, the excitement never faded. But for others, the criticism came fast, ruthless, and personal. And standing on the other side of that storm was Angel Reese, a player whose own rise had been built through fire, controversy, and relentless comparisons. From the moment both names became linked in the public imagination, this was never just basketball. It became a cultural battle. Fan bases split into war camps. Every stat became ammunition. Every interview became decoded for hidden shots. Every facial expression was treated like evidence in a larger conflict. Caitlin represented one kind of basketball stardom: long-range brilliance, precision passing, sold-out arenas, and historic media obsession. Angel represented something equally explosive: swagger, emotion, physical dominance, unapologetic intensity, and a fan base that embraced confrontation. Together, they became the rivalry the internet couldn't stop feeding. But rivalries like this don't stay on the court. Pressure changes people. And Caitlin had been carrying more pressure than almost anyone in the league. The expectations weren't normal. She wasn't being judged like a rookie. She was being judged like a savior. Every game had impossible standards attached to it. If she scored 20, people asked why it wasn't 30. If she created offense, critics focused on turnovers. If her three-point shot dipped for even a few games, the whispers got louder. Maybe the league figured her out. Maybe the hype peaked too early. Maybe she wasn't as unstoppable as advertised. That kind of noise can crack players. But what made this situation even more emotionally charged was the non-stop comparison machine. Because while Caitlin fought criticism over efficiency and expectations, Angel Reese faced her own wave of attacks. Questions about finishing, offensive limitations, and brutal online commentary that never seemed to stop. Every struggle became meme material. Every mistake became another trending debate. And somehow, instead of sympathy, the basketball world kept forcing comparison after comparison. Who mattered more? Who was more valuable? Who was the real face of the league? Who was actually evolving? By the time this game arrived, the emotional tension was already boiling. This wasn't just another matchup in the minds of fans. This felt like evidence, a verdict, a chance for one performance to completely hijack the narrative. And deep down, everyone knew something dangerous. Caitlin Clark plays differently when she feels disrespected. That's what made the opening minutes feel so unsettling. Because from her very first touch, there was something in her body language that didn't look normal.
No hesitación. No frustración.
No doubt. Just aggression. The kind that says she came to settle something. And Angel Reese, may not have realized yet. She was about to become part of the message. The first few possessions told the entire story, and it was brutal. That question alone sent fans into chaos online. Because if this version was already slicing defenses apart without her most feared weapon, then what exactly was the league supposed to do later? But just when Indiana looked ready to cruise, everything cracked. Momentum flipped without warning. Turnovers started stacking. The offense stalled. Shots stopped falling. And Los Angeles smelled blood. The crowd changed. That comfortable energy disappeared. Kelsey Plum started attacking. Transition points appeared. Indiana's lead shrank possession after possession. What had looked like control suddenly felt unstable. And here came the second shocking twist. The game wasn't over. Not even close. That's where pressure becomes different. Anyone can dominate when the scoreboard is safe. Real stars get exposed when panic enters the building. And panic was absolutely entering. You could feel it in every possession. Indiana looked tight,
Rushed.
disorganized. The exact kind of emotional collapse critics would use for days if things went wrong. This was the perfect setup for disaster. One ugly finish. One rushed turnover. One defensive breakdown. That's all it takes for narratives to explode. And with every second, the stakes kept growing. Because this wasn't just about one regular season game anymore. This was legacy fuel. If Indiana collapsed, every hot take would return. Overrated. Empty stats. Not clutch. League figured her out. The knives were already waiting. But Caitlin saw it. And instead of shrinking under the pressure, she slowed everything down like someone who had already seen this movie before. That's when the emotional balance shifted again. A drive through traffic. A perfectly timed setup. A possession where she simply refused to let chaos take over. This was no longer talent. This was command. And while fans online were busy turning Caitlin versus Angel Reese into another full-scale social media war, the real story was becoming something else entirely. Because the player critics said was vulnerable under pressure was now stabilizing an entire collapsing team in real time. And if that wasn't unsettling enough, what happened after the final buzzer made the rivalry conversation even more explosive. The final buzzer should have ended the conversation. Instead, it started a completely different fire. Because the moment the game ended, the internet exploded. Not with casual reactions. Not with routine post-game analysis. With chaos. Clips of Caitlin Clark's drives were everywhere within minutes. Slow-motion breakdowns. Reaction channels screaming into microphones. Commentators replaying possessions frame by frame like they had just witnessed a warning to the entire league. Social media timelines turned into battlefields. And then the comparisons began. Again. Brutally. Relentlessly. Angel Reese's name was suddenly everywhere. Not because of anything she had done that night, but because the internet decided to weaponize Caitlin's performance into another rivalry war. Different levels. Not even close. One evolved. One stayed stuck. The comments got uglier by the second. Fan pages started posting side-by-side graphics.
Stat debates exploded.
Old clips resurfaced. Every old rivalry moment got dragged back into public view. This is what happens when sports become emotional identity. People stop debating basketball. They start choosing sides like war. And that's exactly what happened. Some fans declared Caitlin the unquestioned face of the league. Others accused the media of manufacturing narratives designed to elevate one star while tearing another down. Analysts jumped in. Former players weighed in. Sports shows built entire segments around one dangerous question. Has the gap become undeniable? That question alone was enough to ignite outrage. Because Angel Reese has her own fiercely loyal supporters, fans who see every criticism as selective targeting, every comparison as unfair framing, every headline as another attempt to reduce her game to internet punchlines. And suddenly the emotional fallout became bigger than basketball. It became political. Media bias accusations surfaced. League favoritism whispers started circulating. Some fans claimed the WNBA was leaning too heavily into one superstar narrative. Others argued the attention was earned. That kind of public division creates pressure nobody can fully control. And inside that pressure, real emotions build. Because players see everything. Every clip, every trending topic, every insult disguised as analysis, every comparison pretending to be objective. You think they don't notice? They do. That's what makes moments like this dangerous. Because public narratives don't stay online. They walk into locker rooms. They enter interviews. They sit in silence during practice. They change chemistry. Caitlin Clark wasn't playing like someone trying to silence critics quietly. She was playing like someone delivering a public response in real time. The pace changed the moment the ball touched her hands. Suddenly, defenders looked nervous. Rotations came late. The floor started bending around her movement, and within minutes, the energy inside the building had completely shifted. This was supposed to be another test, another chance for doubters to point at cold shooting, forced turnovers, or proof that the league had adjusted. Instead, Caitlin detonated the script. She attacked the rim immediately. No waiting.
No overthinking. No settling.
The same critics who had spent days obsessing over her three-point slump were now watching her carve through defenders possession after possession like she had unlocked an entirely new version of herself. And that was the first shocking twist. The most dangerous Caitlin Clark on the floor wasn't the logo shooter. It was the downhill attacker. That changes everything. Because if defenders press high, she blows past them. If help collapses, she creates open looks. If they hesitate, she controls the pace like a chess master. This wasn't just scoring. This was manipulation. Meanwhile, the comparison machine online was already doing what it always does, dragging Angel Reese directly into the conversation. Clips started circulating. Hot takes exploded. Comment sections turned into war zones. Look at the difference. Different levels. This is what evolution looks like. And just like that, one performance became bigger than the game itself. But the tension didn't stop there. Because while Caitlin kept creating offense, another problem became impossible to ignore. Her teammates were leaving points everywhere. Missed layups, broken finishes, wasted possessions. The box score looked strong, but somehow still incomplete. Analysts watching live were already saying the same thing. If those shots fall, her assist numbers explode. That's when the emotional temperature started rising. Because even with wasted opportunities around her, she still controlled everything. And then came the moment that changed the emotional atmosphere completely. Repeated contact.
No whistle.
Another collision. Still nothing. Frustration built visibly. Caitlin turned toward the officials, not with confusion, but with fury. The crowd reacted instantly. The cameras caught everything. And suddenly, technical foul. That should have rattled her. That should have slowed her down. That should have become the headline. Instead, it activated her. That was the real shocking twist. Some players shrink when emotions boil over. She got meaner, sharper, more aggressive. Her drives came harder. Her pace got faster. Her reads became even more surgical. It was as if the anger sharpened her instincts instead of breaking them. That's terrifying for opponents. Because now this wasn't just talent. This was emotion weaponized. And somewhere in the middle of all this chaos, the internet was doing what it always does, turning rivalry into gasoline. Angel Reese's name kept trending alongside Caitlin's. Comparisons intensified. Narratives got uglier. Debates became personal. But inside the game itself, one truth was becoming impossible to deny. Caitlin wasn't surviving pressure. She was feeding off it. And the most dangerous part? Her signature weapon still wasn't fully there, which meant the version dominating the floor might not even be the final version. And if that realization was already making fans panic, what happened next pushed the entire night into another level of chaos. By the time the game moved deeper into the second half, the atmosphere had changed from excitement to pure anxiety, because what started as a strong performance was beginning to feel like something much bigger. Caitlin Clark wasn't just having a good night. She was controlling the emotional oxygen of the entire arena. Every possession felt like everyone was waiting for her next decision. Drive? Kick out? Pull up? Transition attack? Nobody knew. And that uncertainty is what made the defense look helpless. The Sparks tried physical pressure. It failed. They crowded her high. It failed. They tried forcing the ball out of her hands. That failed too, because every defensive adjustment created a new opening, and Caitlin kept finding it. That's when the second major twist started unfolding. This wasn't becoming a shooting performance. It was becoming a full takeover built on control. That's even scarier, because hot shooters cool off. Complete floor generals break entire systems. She was manipulating defenders like they were reacting to yesterday's information. One hesitation and she attacked the rim. One collapse and the ball fired to a cutter. One misread and Indiana punished it instantly. And suddenly, the conversation shifted from "can she survive this slump?" to something much more dangerous. What happens when the three-point shot comes back to? And while Caitlin's supporters celebrated what looked like another evolution in her game, the emotional backlash kept escalating elsewhere. Questions grew louder. Would Angel respond publicly? Would teammates defend her? Would coaches address the comparisons? Would the league try to cool the temperature? Or would this rivalry spiral even harder? Meanwhile, Caitlin's own performance created a completely different kind of pressure. Because now expectations rise again. Not slightly, explosively. One dominant performance doesn't reduce pressure. It multiplies it. Now fans expect this version every night. Now critics move the goalposts higher. Now anything less becomes disappointment. That's the cruel part of superstardom. You don't get rewarded with peace. You get handed bigger expectations. And just when everyone thought the story was about one electric performance, a post-game detail started circulating that changed the emotional stakes all over again. Because if what people were saying was true, this rivalry was about to get far more personal. Just when the emotional storm looked like it might finally calm down, something changed. A single post-game clip. A few seconds. That's all it took. At first, most people missed it. The usual noise was too loud. Highlight reels, stat graphics, screaming reaction videos, fans declaring winners and debates that never seemed to end. But then someone isolated the footage,
Zoomed in.
reposted it, and suddenly the internet lost its mind. Body language analysis, lip-reading theories, speculation everywhere. Did Caitlin say something? Did someone on the sideline react? Was there tension nobody caught in real time? Within minutes, the conversation shifted from basketball performance to pure emotional detective work. That's how modern sports chaos works. One glance becomes a conspiracy. One facial expression becomes a headline. One silent moment becomes proof. And whether the theories were true or not almost didn't matter anymore, because perception moves faster than facts. The rivalry machine was fully awake. Some fans claimed this was the moment Caitlin officially separated herself into another tier. Others pushed back hard, calling the entire reaction disrespectful, manufactured, and emotionally reckless. But beneath the online screaming, one truth felt impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark looked different. Not just talented. Different. Stronger physically. Calmer emotionally. More dangerous strategically. This wasn't the same player who relied on spectacular shooting to overwhelm opponents. This version could punish teams even when the deep ball disappeared. That changes the math for the entire league. Because now defenders face an impossible choice. Guard her high? She attacks downhill. Collapse the paint? She destroys you with reads. Play soft? That logo range eventually wakes up. That's nightmare territory. And then came the bigger emotional question no one wanted to say too loudly. If Caitlin is still evolving this fast, what happens to everyone chasing her? That's where the Angel Reese conversation became combustible again. Because fair or unfair, sports narratives are cruel. People don't just celebrate one star. They measure everyone else against them. And when one player appears to accelerate publicly, the pressure on others becomes suffocating. That's where careers change emotionally. That's where rivalries become personal. That's where every future matchup carries extra weight. Because now this isn't just about who had the better night. It's about who controls the next chapter. Who answers the pressure. Who responds when the cameras come back. Who turns criticism into fuel. And maybe the most unsettling part? Caitlin still hasn't fully solved the one thing everyone knows is coming. The three-point rhythm. That's the terrifying, unfinished piece. Because if this version already looks like a floor-controlling nightmare, what happens when the most feared shot in women's basketball starts falling consistently again? That's when this story becomes dangerous. Not dramatic. Dangerous. Because the league may not be reacting to a peak. It may be reacting to a transformation. And if that's true, then this rivalry hasn't reached its breaking point. It may have only just entered its most explosive phase. Because the next matchup, it won't feel like basketball. It'll feel personal. But now the real question belongs to you. After everything we just witnessed, after the pressure, the criticism, the explosive performance, the social media chaos, and the rivalry conversations that refuse to die, what are we actually looking at here? Was this simply one incredible night from Caitlin Clark? Or was this the warning sign of something much bigger? Because if she's already controlling games like this without her most feared weapon fully returning, the rest of the league may have a serious problem. And let's be honest, the Angel Reese debate is only going to get louder from here. That's what makes this story so explosive. Every future matchup now carries extra tension. Every stat will be compared. Every missed shot will become ammunition. Every highlight will start another war. So, I want your honest take. Has Caitlin Clark officially entered a completely different tier? Is the gap between these stars real? Or is the internet turning rivalry into something bigger than basketball? And when the next showdown happens, who answers the pressure? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now because this debate is far from over. If you love high-drama WNBA stories, rivalries, shocking breakdowns, and the moments everybody will be arguing about tomorrow, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Because this story, it's only getting started.